Today, I will be going over my top 10 rarest and most expensive Pokemon cards in my collection. But before we get into the top 10, I have two honorable mentions. These two cards are the two most valuable cards I have pulled here on this channel. Both being from the set Crown Zenith, we have Secret Rare Origin Form Dialga V-Star on the left with a current price of $38. And on the right, we have the best card I have pulled on this channel, being Secret Rare Giratina V-Star with a market price currently of $90 and is also the most valuable card in the set Crown Zenith, which was the final set of the Sword and Shield era. Again, these two are only honorable mentions, but I thought we should include them seeing that we pulled them both here on this channel. Moving on now to the actual top 10 list. Here at number 10, we have a Steelix Hollow from Skyridge. This card currently has a price of about $125, and I will like to note that this card was pack pulled by me. It was pulled sometime around 2004 to 2006. Skyridge came out in 2003, and I was opening cards during that time. I don't recall exactly when I pulled this card, but I do know that I pulled this card out of a Skyridge pack way back when, and it is the 10th most valuable card in my collection, even though it is a raw card. And it is a really cool card, I should add on top of that, being a hollow from Skyridge that I managed to pull myself. At number 9, we have Crystal Ho-Oh Reverse Hollow from Skyridge. Two Skyridge cards back to back, which just goes to show how valuable the cards and that set itself truly is. This is one of my favorite cards in my collection. It has a price right now for about $180, and I will like to note for cards such as this, I did my best to get a good, accurate price based on sold and current listings on platforms such as eBay, because as you can tell, this card isn't in the best of condition. That last Steelix we looked at, that was in really good condition. This card, though, is in pretty beat up condition. There's creases, there's whitening all over it. So I did my best to get the most accurate price per the condition of this card currently. That $180 price isn't based on like the top tier most nicest cards you can get of this card. This is based on the current condition of this card right here. Again, I said it's about $180, and I will let you know I actually bought this card for only $70 back in 2021, so it's almost doubled in price despite the condition of it. I love this card. I love the Nazca line type Ho-Oh or Moltres or Zapdos, whatever bird you may think that is in the background. Skyridge has just such awesome artwork. Crystal cards are probably one of my favorite rarities of all time, and Crystal Ho-Oh sits here at number 9 on my list. At number 8, we have PSA 8 Deoxys EX from the set EX Deoxys. With the double Deoxys EX in the name there, it makes it very difficult to find these cards for sale because you look up EX Deoxys and on eBay it'll just give you all the cards from the set. So to narrow it down to this card specifically, you normally have to look up the exact specific number of the card. You can see 97 out of 107 in the set, but this card is from EX Deoxys, one of the most iconic, valuable, and rarest Pokemon sets of all time. Obviously, Gold Star Rayquaza is the big chase card from that set, but with the set being called EX Deoxys, I wanted to have what I thought to be the coolest Deoxys card from that set, and that is this card right here. This card currently has a value of about $190, and it is an awesome card and one of my favorites in my collection. At number 7, we have PSA 9 Tyranitar Reverse Hollow from Aquapolis. This card currently has a price of about $200, and I will like to note, when I was making the list of these cards, in my head I was like, oh, I have that Aquapolis Tyranitar Reverse Hollow in a PSA 8. Then I actually look at the card, I'm like, oh my gosh, no, it's a PSA 9. I didn't even realize this card was a PSA 9. I genuinely thought it was a PSA 8. And I will like to note, I bought this card in particular for a reason. In sets such as Aquapolis, you could get a lot of the cards in normal non-hollows, reverse hollows, and hollow foil variants. I got this card right here in a reverse hollow because I didn't just want a plain basic non-hollow card, but I wanted to be able to see the artwork. Look how awesome this artwork is. You got Tyranitar in a thunderstorm in a rainforest. In the hollow version of this card, yes, it is really cool, but it makes it a little difficult to actually see the artwork. With the reverse hollow here, you get the best of both worlds with the cool dynamicness of the hollow foil pattern on the card. Then on top of that, you're able to actually see the artwork fully and makes for a awesome card. At number 6, we have a card that I actually made its own video about. We have PSA 5 Secret Rare Charizard Hollow from the set EX Dragon. This card currently has a price of about $220, and my favorite aspect of this card is that it's got that e-reader type design. It's a cool holo foil card, but on top of all of that, it's a Charizard card that is technically a reprint, you could say, of the base set Charizard. Now, at first, you might be thinking, Pokeplayer, you're crazy. What are you even talking about when you say that? Look at the artwork of this card. If you turn it slightly, you can see the Charizard is actually in the same stance or same pose as the Charizard from base set. It's a real subtle detail that you honestly probably wouldn't even notice unless you looked really closely at this card and a base set Charizard side by side, but it's a really cool detail. I really like this card, and I think it is just such an amazing Charizard card because if I'm being completely honest, I don't necessarily love the base set Charizard, but this card right here I do love and I think is super cool. At number 5, we have PSA 8 First Edition Dragonite Hollow from Fossil. This card currently has a price of about $230, and I got this card for one specific reason. I wanted a big heavy hitter from Kanto, from the first line of Pokemon sets that came out in a first edition. I could have got Venusaur, Blastoise, Charizard, but none of those cards really stood out to me. A lot of people like Pikachu, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charmander are all kind of like the starter Pokemon, but none of those really stood out to me as well. What is one card that really stood out to me and I thought had an amazing artwork and was a super cool card from those earlier sets? Dragonite. Look at how cool this card is with the rainbow background. Dragonite kind of sitting there looking all innocent and such, but if you really know what Dragonite is, it's one of the biggest, baddest, strongest Pokemon, not only from Kanto, but of all time. With the normal type card, it makes it look really cool. The first edition stamp, can't go wrong with that, and this is an awesome card right here. And now we begin to get into some of the rarest cards in my collection. Here at number 4, we have Gengar Hollow from Skyridge. Although, as you can see, it is in Japanese, meaning it isn't actually from Skyridge. The set this card is from is Mysterious Mountain. For those that don't know, Skyridge in Japanese was split up into 2 different sets, one of those sets being Mysterious Mountain, which this Gengar is from. This card in English is extremely valuable and is one of the most valuable holo Pokemon cards you can possibly buy, and in Japanese, it is very valuable as well. As you can see, I have it here in a first edition. The estimated price for this card right now is about $250. It isn't in the best of condition. You can see on the back, there's some whitening and stuff on the corners. It's not perfect, but it is an awesome card, and I acquired this card in a really interesting way. I actually got it on eBay in a lot of 9 other Gengar cards in 2020 for $123. This card alone is worth double what I got that entire lot for. So the story behind how I got this card, I think, is super cool. The Gengar kind of in the temple, you can see in the background there, you have some statues of the legendary birds. It is such an awesome card, and this is one of the most valuable holo Pokemon cards there is. At number 3, we have my favorite Pokemon card of all time, Crystal Lugia from Aquapolis. And right out the gate, you might look at this thing and think, how is this the 3rd most valuable card in your collection? Look how nasty and beat up this thing is. It's got that giant smudge there at the top. The back is covered in all kinds of whitening and creases, but that just shows how valuable Crystal Lugia cards are. PSA 10s of this card sell for tens of thousands of dollars. This card in this condition right here has a price of about $260. I did see some in worse condition go for slightly more, but seeing the condition of this card, you can't really get an exact estimate. I didn't want to mark it up too high, so I decided to settle on the price of $260. I will like to note, I bought this card in 2020 for only $58. Like I said, Crystal Lugia is my favorite card of all time, and I wanted to get it in my collection by any means necessary. So that is why I managed to buy a card this beat up. I don't care. This card is awesome. I love the artwork. I love the crystal design of the card. I love the e-reader cards. I love Lugia. This card to me is just absolute perfection. At number 2, we have Gold Star Metagross. This card is not in the best of condition. From the front, you might not be able to tell too much. You can see on the top left corner there, and on the top of it, it's got some kind of smudges and creases and whitening there. The hollow foil pattern has some scratches on it, but then on the back, you can see some creases and whitening and stuff as well. It isn't in the best of condition, but despite that, it still has a price right now for about $300. That just goes to show how valuable and rare this card is. You can see the creases all over it. It's in rather bad condition. If I were to grade it, it probably would grade a PSA 1, yet despite that, it still has a price for about $300. I traded for this card for a delivery Dragonite promo from Pokemon the first movie sometime around 2006 to 2008. I literally remember making the trade for this card because this card is one of my favorite cards of all time. Shiny Metagross is one of my favorite shinies, if not my favorite shiny Pokemon there is. Gold Star cards are probably my favorite rarity that there are, and I just absolutely love this card, and it is the second most valuable card in my collection. And at number 1, we have Gold Star Regice with a price of about $320. This card being in number 1 came as an absolute shock for me. The reason why that is because I thought this card was in about similar, if not the same condition as that Gold Star Metagross I just showed you all that we had at number 2. But this card, when I started to look at it a bit more closely, I was astonished at how nice it is. Yeah, there's some typical whitening and little nicks and dings on the edges of the card, but overall, the condition of this card is really, really nice. I actually bought this card back in 2013 for only $34. Now it has a price of about $320 in this condition raw right here. This card is super awesome, super cool, and genuinely came as a shock to me when I found out that this card was the most valuable Pokemon card in my collection. And that is all for today. Let me know in the comment section down below your favorite card from the video. I thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and this is the Pokeplaya signing out.